Deathstroke, The Terminator, Issue 1, Tony Fleecs writing with Carmine Di Giandomenico on the art. So I had no idea what to expect from this, just because of the team. Well, I mean, I know Giandomenico very well, of course, but Tony Fleecs could not tell you anything he's done. It's a complete new person to me.
And it's also the thing where Deathstroke, like, he doesn't really have a defined book to him. Like, obviously, the Christopher Priest run was very different from, like, the Deathstroke Inc. stuff that followed up afterwards. Like, you could easily make this an 80s action movie, or you can make it the internal thinkings of, like, how does a family man kill so often?
Yeah, I mean, I think the definitive stuff is more just, like, the early days stuff still, right? Of, you know, Marv Wolfman and all that. And so this issue is Deathstroke's on a assassin job, and he's talking to Wintergreen over the comms, and Wintergreen's basically trying to tell him, hey, talk to Rose, you need to talk to her, she hates you. And he's like, I talked to her, I try to like convince her to sort of like step up and be like your new best friend, because I'm getting old, I need someone else to kind of fill in for some of this shit. And Deathstroke, and it's a lot of it's action, a lot of it's like, you know, Deathstroke, you're supposed to be going quiet for this job, he's like, nah, screw that, and he drives like looks like a police van or an ambulance off of like a multi-story car park and like goes flying through the air. And it's, you know, it's big action. The art here is pretty solid. It all looks very, there's a nice flow to it, there's a nice sense of progression. It's kind of the opposite of what I was talking about in Superman Unlimited, where there's no progression because everything's just a new location. This actually does feel like, oh no, he's in one building, he jumps across to the other building, there's chaos, there's debris, there's explosions, all the rest of it. And he doesn't even know who the target is. The idea is that his visor will sort of like basically ding when it sees the face of the person he's supposed to kill. And it's like, okay, all right, so there's some mystery there. But the big twist of this, after some intervention, he fights the body doubles, who are, I don't know who they are, but sure.
I think, I might be wrong here, but I think they might have come over from Wildstorm.
Okay.
They are just a pair of quote-unquote smoking hot babes who have a massive healing factor and effectively cannot be killed. Like, that's their thing.
Okay, all right, fair enough. So, you know, like this happens. Slade's having.
Just to make a comment on the body doubles, he gets the breakdown from Wintergreen. He's like, yes, these are the body doubles. They have a healing factor. And then Deathstroke says, good, that means I can stop holding back. And I'm like, were you not trying to kill them? I feel like you're just killing everybody.
Yeah, but the big twist of the issue, though, is that when he knocks down the door to where the target is, it's Wintergreen who is tied up. And it's, you know, there's like there's a note saying, Slade, I'm taking everything, whoever set this up. So I enjoyed this issue. I thought it was like a fun action sequence, and I like them, you know, bringing up Rose. I like Rose as a character quite a bit, and obviously they bring up Jericho and Grant and whatever. But I was like, wait, Wintergreen was talking to him the whole time, which I could buy this to an extent, but he's tied up. Wouldn't Wintergreen know he's tied up?
So the way that because the voice still continues on after he gets into the room, and he still is hearing it as Wintergreen's voice. He's saying, who said that? Wintergreen. I think it's just like a voice changing thing. I think he was faking being Wintergreen. All
right, that makes more sense then. Because I kind of like the idea, though, of like Wintergreen not realizing he's directing Deathstroke to his own location. So when the door comes banging down, he's like, wait a minute, what the hell?
Oh no, I'm going to die. So the other part of it is there's also the whole reason Wintergreen was taken, and the note saying I've taken everything, is the computer's open in front of them and his bank account has been completely drained.
Yeah. So, yeah, and then he has to fight his way out because, you know, the SWAT team of ninjas or whoever they are come in blasting. And he shoots his way out, and that's kind of the cliffhanger at the end of the issue.
It honest to God feels a lot more like an absolute line than anything else. It's like, no money, no Wintergreen, Deathstroke is on his own.
Yeah, I thought it was an easy read. I thought it flowed well. I thought, like, I like that they're teasing that there's going to be an element of this of, like, and don't get me wrong, it's not new for Deathstroke to, like, sort of try and repair perhaps the relationship he has with one or both of his kids, but
I think that's every other week he tries to do that. But yeah,
but given that I like Rose more than Deathstroke, I appreciate them saying now Rose is going to be a part of this and we're going to do stuff with her, and, you know, maybe like teaming up to save Wintergreen is something they can both work together on. Maybe she'll actually care about that, and that's why she'll maybe get involved. Who knows?
Yeah, for me, I feel like the overarching plot here is going to be a bit more on like revenge, because Wintergreen, he's been out of the game for like ever, up until the Rebirth series. Rebirth is what reintroduced him and said this is a core tenet of Deathstroke's gang, and I don't know how I feel about killing him off here, because it does feel very unimportant. It doesn't feel like this is like a major thing. It's not giving the character any sort of service, but at the same time, it's a good driving force for Deathstroke moving forward. So if this does stick, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. I mean, I have to assume, obviously Deathstroke's going to want revenge for Wintergreen now, right? And Rose...
And his money.
And Rose will probably, well, too. She won't care about his money, but she'll care about Wintergreen, perhaps.
Yeah.
But I have to assume that whoever did this was doing this as revenge. It felt personal. It felt like someone wanted to do this to Deathstroke. Now...
Oh, yeah.
It could be another one of his kids, to be honest, at this point. Like, it's the most obvious thing.
Jericho or whatever the third one is. It's always going to be one of them.
Well, the other one's meant to be dead. Grant, I think, he's meant to be dead.
Meant to be.
Yes, well, I've been alive this whole time, Father.
Yeah. That or it's his wife. It's always
Adeline. Yes, Adeline. Yep. Yeah, coming back for more. I mean, it's possible. I mean, that would make me roll my eyes a little bit if it ends up in any of them. But like, I could see it being revenge for someone else that Slade's, because Slade's wronged a lot of people over the years. So there's any number you could go with, or just make someone new up if you really wanted to. But
yeah.
I could see that. I mean, I think the action of the book was entertaining. Like, I thought it was paced well, it flowed well. It felt like it had its hook at the end. It had build up. It did all that. I mean, I think Deathstroke for me is kind of like not in quite the same way as Lobo, because Lobo's obviously a lot more of a comedy character. But yeah, it is tough for me, like reading a book about someone who's basically a villain, right? And this is someone who doesn't really have any sense of like moral compass or anything like that, and someone who is just in it for the money. Sometimes they add a little bit of nuance to that, of course, in his own solo book, because you kind of have to, because it's his book and you need to flesh him out a bit. But I think that's where you do have the other characters that you care about around them. They make it work, because they kind of end up being more the audience conduits than the main character is in this case.
Right. No, it definitely feels a lot more. I mean, I feel like every time I read a Deathstroke book, it's playing on the idea that he has this professional code. And that's what you're supposed to relate to more than the idea of him being like an indiscriminate killer is. No, he only kills for very specific reasons, but like he's very good at it. He's very skilled at his job. But then everyone else around him is coming down and being like, maybe you shouldn't be doing that because you're an asshole. And that's kind of the extent of it. I will say, out of the new number ones that we've gotten from this next level stuff, this is probably the most I like the issue 1. I think it's the one that has worked the best there, but I do think that long term it needs to come up with something a lot more impressive to get me into the character than what this issue has presented.
I think that's fair. I think that is fair. I think arguably this might even be better than Batwoman issue 1. But I think Batwoman, I'm a lot more optimistic about Batwoman going forward than I am this. But I think this could be a fun action B-movie romp if it kind of keeps up this type of this sense of pace, and that would be maybe fine. So I think I'm down to try issue 2 of this just to see how it develops it further, and that'll give me more of an indication of what the book's actually going to be past the setup, which is what this was. Because because if it goes down the path where it just kind of feels that we're having excuses for him to be in action every issue, it might feel a bit hollow, and then I'll sort of drift away from it and not really care. If it does actually try and advance and make it feel like, oh no, he's actually pissed about Wintergreen and like teams up with Rose to go and take it on whoever, or maybe he doesn't even team up. Maybe she like independently tries to do it herself as well because she doesn't want to work with him. But their paths will inevitably cross or something. I don't know, but but not a bad first issue. No. If not completely blowing anything out of the water.
I mean, ignoring any of the writing, the art on its own is very bombastic, feels great. So, I mean, kudos on that. I also think the writing is good for what it is. It just has to overcome that first hurdle of it's Deathstroke. How do you make me care? Yeah,
like the dialogue's completely fine, and there's not too much of it, and it flows well. It's more just like the story concept. Is it going to evolve into something better than what it is to begin with. It's kind of the thing. So, all right, what are you giving Deathstroke the Terminator?
I think this one's going to squeak up to a 7 for me. It's on the lower end of it, but it's still good. I think it's a well-made issue by far.
Yeah, I think I'm going with a 7 as well. I think it's good. I have my reservations about how much it'll keep me engaged going forward, but I think it's a solid first issue. Definitely a good action-packed issue, if nothing else.